What's up, my beautiful people? Aaron Thomas with Excellence Above Talent. So, God is in the details. He has really been working on me when it comes to not being afraid to use your voice and talk, even though I'm not where I think I should be. God says, do it anyway, because what you say matters, maybe not to all people or even to some people, but to one person. So we were having a tough conversation Saturday at a bar over a few cocktails. And I know some of you Christians are like, oh my gosh, he was at a bar and he was drinking. Get over it. But there was one of my friends, she was just talking about how she don't go to church and how she feels fake if she goes to church, but then, hangs out at a bar and has a few cocktails and then go home and then goes to church the next day. She was just saying how as a Christian you can't be in the world and you can't do the things that the world does. And I understood where she was coming from that perspective. You can't be a Christian and also live in the world, but you can be someone who is following after Christ and chasing after Him and still fall into some of the traps that the world has to offer, and that does not make you more Christian or less Christian than anybody. That just makes you Christian. And we were just going back and forth to the point to where at first I was defensive, but then I stopped and I wanted to hear what she really had to say in love, because at the end of the day, what someone thinks about you and your Christianity has nothing to do with you. So if someone else looks at you and tells you like you're not Christian enough because you're doing certain things that have nothing to do with you, that's what they're perceiving from the way they look at Christianity. And so instead of getting upset or angry or becoming defensive, hear them out. They might have something that they need to say, and then you might say something that they need to hear. And so we had the conversation, and it was a good conversation because I got to go deeper within myself to have a deeper conversation. There are people out here making assumptions of what a Christian can and can't do, what a Christian should and shouldn't do, and it has nothing to do with your relationship with God, like your personal relationship with God. It is just what they assume, crazy part, from the world, what a Christian should be. So a lot of times Christians are like, we should not be of the world, but then a lot of the doctrines and their belief comes from the world. It's just an oxymoron. You can't do it, but I'm getting the information from the place where I'm making it something like, well, you shouldn't be as a Christian. Newsflash, we live in the world. We're going to be around it 24/7. No one knows your personal relationship with God. No one knows the battles and the struggles that you're going through by yourself. A lot of Christians have the gall to look down and judge other Christians because of certain things that they see or certain things that they do, instead of just loving them no matter what. And so on the way to church today, I was thinking about, just war. As a military veteran, going to Iraq, I've experienced war. I would say at a pretty high level, getting, blown up and shot at and shooting, back and things of that nature. I've experienced it at a level that a lot of people have not experienced it. And in war, there will be casualties. You won't make the best decisions. People will get hurt. That does not stop you from continuing the battle. That doesn't stop you from moving forward and still trying to figure out best steps or best scenario to be better and do better. And while on the way to church, that popped into my mind, that's the same thing we as Christians have to do as well. There will be times where we don't make the best decisions and choices. There will be times where our butt is out in the air and no one can save us, and people are looking down and laughing and making fun of. There will be casualties. There will be mistakes and decisions made that aren't the best ones. But that should not stop you from trying to still be the best Christian that you can possibly be. That should not stop you from living your life the way God intended it. Like, you don't get to quit just because you messed up and the world is saying you're not a good Christian. The world cannot define your Christianity. The person next to you cannot define your Christianity. There is not anyone in this world that can define who you are when it comes to being a child of God. When you go to heaven and he says, "Depart from me," or "Well done, my good and faithful servant," that is where it's at. And nobody, the world, your spouse, your friends, no one can say those words to you without it being fraudulent. No one can tell you you're going to hell. No one can tell you you're going to heaven. That is between you and God and the choices and decisions that you make while on this earth. And there will be times where you don't make right choices and decisions. That doesn't condemn you for heaven or hell. That's just, you have to reset, figure it out, and try again. I don't know. It's super frustrating that we live in a world where people have the nuts to say you're going to hell because of certain things that you do or that you believe in, not knowing that thought process of them trying to condemn someone to hell is most likely condemning them to hell themselves. We don't get that option to choose. As Christians, we show up, we move forward, and we try each and every day to make God proud, to make ourselves proud, to make our families proud. And that's where it's at. And we don't need to get stuck in this mindset of, I have to be perfect in order to, because we don't. You do not have to be perfect to be a Christian. You can come as you are, messed up. And along the way, God will place things in your path. God will put people in your path, on your path, in order to help mold and change and push you to be better. All you have to do is show up and try. And God does the rest. Regardless of what other people say or think, it is God who is who is in the details. I don't know what happened or where we as adults stop having fun and put so much pressure on perfection, put so much pressure on ourselves to chase after a dream that at the end of the day, no one really cares about. The American dream, get as much money as possible, flaunt and flex, and yeah, it's nice. It is nice, but if that's the dream that you are falling into, you have to change yourself in order to chase that dream. You do. Corporate, owning your own business, like you have to conform versus just living your life to the best possible way you can while loving people, loving God, and loving yourself. Things will pop off. Things that you never even could imagine because you're choosing to live how God intended you to live. You should be having fun and not putting so much pressure and not letting the world put so much pressure on defining what your Christianity is or your relationship with God. You have to have that relationship with God. No one can tell you what that looks like. That's between you and God. And it's a beautiful thing that sometimes you put so much pressure on yourself. And then when you hear someone put more pressure on you, you realize, like, man, why am I putting all this pressure on me? Show up, wake up, try, love, be kind, and do what you can to please God, and everything else will just work itself out. So you don't have to be perfect. You just have to show up. You just have to try. Because in that trying, in that showing up, God will begin to move things around so that you will start to see the importance of why he put you in this world and on this world. You're not alone. You are enough. And you are perfect where you're at right now. In the present moment, trying to figure it out. Just keep trying. Remember, we are at war constantly. You don't get to give up. You have to try minute by minute, day by day, hour by hour. And if you sin, you sin. We're not perfect. We are. It's going to happen. And a lot of times people try to be like, whoa, sin is only outward appearance. No, your mind is where sin happens the most. Your mind, you could sin mentally, and we sin mentally all the time, but no one sees it, so that's okay. But if you see someone sinning on the outward appearance, then you have the nuts to say, oh my gosh, you're sinning on the outward, but no one knows what's in that head of yours. No one knows the crazy, nasty, disgusting thoughts, the judgmental thoughts, the fearful thoughts that you think about on a daily basis, hourly basis, on a minute basis. So you don't get to hold other people's screw ups in the light when you yourself are pushing that fire away from who you are and from all your sins and trying to be like, well, look at them. a lot of Christians point the finger at other Christians so that other people don't look at them, because if they really took a close look at them, they would see all the sin that's going on in their life. And so we have a community. We've created this community of Christians who, instead of dealing with what's going on the inside of them to try to figure it out and make them better so that they can go out, inspire, motivate, and change the world, they're too busy pointing the fingers at others so that people won't see them in their screw up, in their mess. And that's why I'm very transparent and open about mine. You won't get to be a person that gets to point at me and tell me like, oh, look what he's doing. I'll tell you straight up. I will tell you straight up, I am in a battle. I am fighting, but I am not giving up. I am not quitting. You can't tell me nothing when it comes to the fight, the struggle, the inward battle that we face daily. And we all face it daily. You can't tell me how good of a Christian I am, or how bad of a Christian I am. I will show up, and I will allow my relationship with God to be the deciding factor before I let a person or the world decide for me how much Christian I am or am not. So, if anyone hasn't told you today that they love you, let me be the first to say I love you. You're awesome. You're amazing. You deserve the best that this world has to offer. Do not give up. Do not quit. The world does not get easier, but you will get stronger. Y'all go out there and go kill this next week. Bye-bye.